Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. Terplex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag drone technology and support from Terplex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with Terplex Ag. Visit terplexag.com.
Don't let tomorrow's solutions get stuck on today's obstacles. Help move what matters at Iowa State. Iowa State students have big ideas.
My name is Cam Schaefer. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Spock's Sanctuary, which is a exotic companion animal rescue, and we provide other services in education and nutrition.
And it all started with a little help from cyclones like you.
Hey friends, kind of a special live Sunday night podcast. We usually record these, but we thought, well, it'd be kind of stupid to do that with the Super Bowl and Brock Purdy obviously starting for the 49ers. So we're doing this live. Most of you are, we realize, listening, although we have a huge live audience I'm seeing right now. So that's cool. Feel free to leave your comments if you are watching on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. We're in the Wild Rose Casino Studios, presented as always by our friends at Cody Road and the Mechdyne Corporation, MECHDYNE.com, enabling discovering. That is Mechdyne. Let's real quick react to the Super Bowl. Of course, we'll get to Iowa State basketball. Men and women both had home games this weekend. Looking more and more increasingly likely that the Iowa State men, I mean, Blum, we can talk about this, but they may be a win this week on the road away from, like, you know, jumping into a solid 2 seed, and then you see what happens.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to talk about, but 49ers lose to the Chiefs in overtime. Man, can go a million different directions here. We're obviously going to focus on Brock Purdy and what this means for him, but I just felt like the 49ers had so many opportunities to put the game away, and you leave it to Mahomes like that, and he's going to bite you. I mean, the punt return muffed, the missed PAT, a lot of the line wasn't good. Chris Jones, like, I don't know who got MVP. I would vote for Chris Jones. I know he didn't put up the stats, but that guy absolutely dominated San Francisco all night. Brock was fine. He wasn't great. Like, Brock didn't go out and win the game, but he certainly didn't lose the game for San Francisco either. It was kind of what we've seen with him. Yeah, I don't think this really changes what anybody should think about Brock. You know, the national pundits will in some capacity, but just unfortunate for Brock Purdy because he played well enough for them to win. It's just,
no doubt,
man. You're going against the greatest of all time in Patrick Mahomes.
No question. I mean, we can think about maybe one or two throws that Brock may have been there. You know, the one touchdown where he was under pressure that he missed to Samuel in the end zone. Maybe that changes the game, but really, he was good. You can't put this on him at all. But it just, Chris, more than anything, it shows the finality of any sports. Like, only one team gets to win. And so it's like you had such a good run, and how fun this was for Niners fans, for Brock Purdy fans, for Iowa State fans to hop along. But yeah, you leave it up to Mahomes, and man, he's a legend. He's a legend. I'm looking at it from a point of, why did you take the ball in overtime? I mean, it reminded me a lot of, just trying to put the Cyclone connections together. Iowa State actually played one of the first college overtime games against Wyoming in '96. And Iowa State took the ball. And it doesn't really serve you well to take the ball first, because then you don't know what you have. And I think that was really the first game with those rules. I'm going to guess Kyle Shanahan is second-guessing himself. Like, man, if we would have just taken the ball second, then you know what you're up against, because you saw Mahomes convert a couple fourth downs there, and they knew what they had to do. That's a huge advantage, in my opinion, because the clock doesn't matter at that point. So there's a lot of things. I thought the Niners, I thought they were right there. I thought Brock played great, played fine. didn't do anything to screw it up, but also you didn't really have a big play either. And but it's more than anything, it's like you can't be disappointed for Brock. I mean, what a great year. You just feel bad for him because he's such a good dude. Like, you get around this thing as much as you and I have, and it's more or less it's not the result of the game. It's you wanted him to win because you like the guy more than anything. But then we've got friends that are in the Chiefs front office, and you feel good for them because they have to go through a lot. So it's just one of those things that somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, and I was entertained, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, no doubt. It's weird how many people that I know in the Chiefs organization.
There's a lot of Iowa State people.
Yeah, there are a lot of Iowa State people there.
It's like you're happy for them for sure.
Then a girl from back home, or friend of mine's sister, married to a guy who works for the Chiefs in the front office. It's like it's wild. That's one that it just that game was so ugly for 3 quarters.
It was not
bad game.
Yep.
Fumbles. It felt like there's just I don't know. I haven't checked. It felt like there were a ton of penalties. Nobody could really get a flow. I don't know, man. Like it felt to me like the 49ers really early let a huge momentum. I thought they could have been up like 2 touchdowns.
Totally agree.
And then it's a totally different deal with McCaffrey and get Debo involved in the running game just a little bit. It just and Brock, what did he start off? He was like 8 of 9 or like something like that early. Yeah. They were really cruising.
But they didn't let him. They didn't let him go. Like they just kind of were comfortable with that 10-point lead, and I think that bit him.
What happened with the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, the 49ers offensive line too? Man, like, and it wasn't just this game. Like the Chiefs defense is phenomenal. It's the best in the NFL. But like every game during the playoffs, Brock's just under this immense amount of pressure. And that ramped up. It kind of felt like that. The guys I was watching the game with here, I won't lie. I was live betting the hell out of the Chiefs because you just felt like the halftime adjustments were going to favor that group. At least I did. When Mahomes is down, you knew they were going to come back.
They're going to come back. Yeah, they're going to do something.
And then you also, it's just like that Chiefs defense and that Chiefs defensive coordinator. It's like you got Andy Reid and I don't know, like, but that to me, and I'm not a 49ers fan. I'm a Brock Purdy fan. It's kind of a win-win, I think, for a lot of people who are probably watching and
Sure.
listening to this. But I feel like the 49ers, like that might be the first time Kyle Shanahan's really going to catch a lot of hell from that fan base.
Well, and then, I mean, I feel for him because he was the coach in 2020, and they had a chance to put that game away and didn't. Then he was the coordinator for the Falcons against the Patriots, and what was that, 17?
Mm-hmm.
When they had the 28-3 lead and let that go. I mean, there's some like the blocked extra point is not his fault. That changes the game entirely. The muff punt, all those things. I mean, I think when you look at this from a Purdy standpoint, legacy wise, you can't fault him at all. I mean, I think that's the positive here is it's not like he threw 3 picks. He didn't throw a pick. I thought he played great. There was a couple plays there. That 4th down is a huge play. I thought Brock was good, but it's just, you're dealing with a GOAT in Mahomes, and Mahomes made the play in the end, but I don't think Shanahan helped the cause. I really don't. Neither did the O-line.
Real quick, I'm on FanDuel, and the odds for next year's Super Bowl are already out. The 49ers are the odds-on favorite. I mean, plus 450. The Chiefs are at 750. Then you have the Ravens at 900 and the Lions down at 1,200 along with the Bills.
Interesting. I mean, I think that's the great thing is Brock's not going anywhere. And this is not like a lightning in a bottle thing. He has proven he's an elite NFL quarterback, and the Niners can win with him. And probably should have today. I mean, honestly, I thought they were better than the Niners. They just made the mistakes.
Yeah,
or than the Chiefs.
Also, don't look past that. Brock will keep getting better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and he's got the salary that's going to let them keep reloading, which is a huge advantage. And he won't get paid until not this offseason, probably next offseason.
Yeah, and Romo, I thought, was really complimentary of Brock throughout the broadcast about how well he sees the field. And
yep.
Weird night.
It-
Again, I just know how many Chiefs fans are in the Iowa State
Yeah,
fan
who are
base,
loving
so
it.
it's
No,
like there's a lot of like weird feelings out
bittersweet
here.
for a lot
Yeah.
of people. And I think, I didn't really I wanted Brock to win because I think he's a great dude. But it's like, man, somebody had to win, somebody had to lose, somebody's gonna be
Mhm.
disappointed. But I don't think Brock hurt himself at all in the narrative, the quote unquote narrative. And it was just one of those games. And I
He
thought for
didn't
3 quarters, it didn't really have a lot of pop to it, but the fourth quarter and overtime was fun.
he
It
didn't
was.
hurt himself, but he didn't
No.
help himself either.
Yeah,
Like
just
it's fine in the Bay Area and like with the inside football people, they're still fine with him. You just watch like the cow herds that because he didn't go out and like win it for them.
win the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even like.
That's gonna be it tomorrow.
He didn't
Just
lose
wait.
it. The kicker did. The
Yeah.
the punt return, like those plays lost it, but Brock didn't go out and like take it, and that's what they will use against him. I promise you.
Yeah, it'd be fun to actually you could predict the narrative tomorrow.
Oh,
And
that's it.
somehow it'll get back to him, but we all know the truth, everybody. And honestly, we've seen that game before as Iowa State fans. Like
That block PAT was
yeah,
like,
it's like, here we go.
what is this game in
What
Arrowhead?
are we doing? Yeah.
Like, come on.
But hey, happy for my Chiefs friends. But that's just like the thing
Yes.
at the end. It's like this. It is hard to win. It is hard to win a championship. Like there's 32 teams. 31 are gonna be pissed, and only one gets to celebrate. The Chiefs are on quite a run, and no, Chiefs, nobody doubted you. Well, maybe some did.
Yeah. Well, he must
Would
not be that bad because they're the favorite to win it next year.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think they should be.
Yeah, they have the best
Absolutely.
roster. It'll be a fascinating offseason to see what goes down there. All right, let's move on to Iowa State stuff again. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, it's late. It's about 10:15 right now. That game is just a marathon. That was one of
I just switched to a Cody Road.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I am not. I'm caffeinating actually.
There you
believe it
go.
or not.
There you go.
Real quick before we get into the Iowa State, I had a weekend in Minneapolis for my buddy Coop's 40th birthday. So happy birthday to Coop.
What's up, Coop?
We did a surprise deal for him up there and found the Minneapolis Alumni Association Game Watch.
Nice.
Yeah, we went to, what was it called? Jackson's Hole. They do a very nice job up there, the Minneapolis. I told them I'd give them a shout out. They do every game there, and they like turn on the sound, and it was fun. It was
Downtown? Where was
yeah,
that at?
downtown Minneapolis. Yeah,
All right.
and TVs are all on the Cyclones, and yeah, it was really cool. So that's where I was at. I was not at Hilton. A rare missed home game for me in the Big 12 season, and that. Brent, this was one of Iowa State's most impressive wins of the year to me because you had TCU coming off of a bye. You had this long road trip in the state of Texas where you played two crazy, not only physical, but emotional games. This was letdown city, not only for any team, but for a crowd, just in general. And Iowa State, TCU made it look closer than it was in the second half. Whatever. What I was so impressed with was how they came out with all that energy, jumped on the Horned Frogs early.
Yep.
That's a good basketball team. Not a great team, but Jamie Dixon is a great coach. And to me, that's a top 4 or 5 win of the year for me, just with all the circumstances.
That was a grown person win right there. I mean, that was you had a lot of things that could be going against you there. Early start. You just came off an emotional win. TCU had a lot to play for there, and you bullied them again. And I think this is the theme now for Iowa State is they're starting to just be bullies, which is great. First 10 minutes of the game, you're up 17-7. TCU didn't really make it interesting until they got to 8-6 in the second half, but Iowa State had them at arm's length, and it was everybody again. Trey came to play early. You got something from Milan again. I thought Curtis Jones gave you a bunch. Keyshawn was good. It's becoming a theme now where it's not just a one-person show, and that's what's the most exciting thing is, you look at 2 years ago when Iowa State made the Sweet 16, it had to be Brockington and more Brockington. And if you didn't have Brockington, it was going to be hard. But I think for this group, they are now proving they've got 6 or 7 guys they can lean on. And I thought Spatola on the TV broadcast, I went back and rewatched it, did a nice job of highlighting what makes Iowa State so good this year. And that's the defensive effort of the bigs. I mean, they don't. It's hard to see it, but King, but especially Jones and Ward are so good on defense. So they just disrupt everything. And that was mind-boggling to me. TCU did not look like they could run an offense, and that's a really good offensive team. So credit to Iowa State. I don't know if you saw the quote from Dix in the postgame. He kind of had a little passive-aggressive dig at the officials of like, I'm not sure what our guys are supposed to do when they drive the ball, I think was the quote. Meaning Iowa State was super physical.
These Big 12 teams are not – these Big 12 coaches are not liking Iowa State.
They are not. I mean,
wow.
Hey, whatever TJ and crew are doing, it's working. And you know what? Will it be an adjustment in the NCAA tournament? Potentially. So that's something to keep an eye on. It is.
Yeah.
Because I have some concerns of, hey, if that starts getting called, Iowa State is physical as all get out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are literally bullying people. And so if you start calling it, it could be interesting. But I do think Iowa State has enough skill to get around that. I thought that first half, really the first 25 minutes, it was really ugly. Like it was hard for anybody to move. But Iowa State, if Iowa State can play that way. If you want to play that way and you're not going to call it, Iowa State will play that way, and Iowa State took advantage.
2 stats that pop out to me from yesterday. 1, 20 assists on 24 field goals for Iowa State, which that doesn't always tell you everything, but it tells you that they're moving the ball well and that the ball's not getting stuck. And that's a really, really positive thing for this team. Number 2, and this was because of foul trouble, Tamin Lipsey only plays 23 minutes, which is good. You want to keep his minutes down if you can and still win these games. Again, Tamin had 4 fouls, but he had 6 assists, 7 points. And I just love continuously what we see from Keyshawn Gilbert. 13 points and 7 assists with 4 rebounds yesterday. Like he and I'll take it to my grave, dude, that TCU game in Fort Worth where Lipsey sat out, it changed his team.
No doubt.
Jones was awesome again yesterday.
Yep.
He played 30 minutes, a lot of it because Lipsey's on the bench. Like this team is very deep, and again, even felt like Pavletsky played more than 4 minutes yesterday. But he's
great.
He's giving you these great minutes. Watson did the same thing. He had 4 points in 10 minutes. Like everyone who goes in the game is assertive. They're not just kind of out there filling space, which you often see from bench guys.
Well, and you saw I don't remember who it was Jay Williams this weekend say, well, Iowa State's really good at Hilton, but you can't play at Hilton in the NCAA tournament, which is just
what are you watching? What are you
watching? I mean, come on now. I mean, Iowa State's undefeated at home, but also has won some monster road games now. But CW, even in that game, TCU had 27 turnovers in the first game against Iowa State. Well, on Saturday, they only had 12, which is one of the fewest against Iowa State all year, and Iowa State still won by double digits, meaning Iowa State's now finding ways, even if they're not turning teams over, they're still pretty good defensively, which is a good sign. I thought, again, Jones and Ward were great at the rim. Nothing was easy for TCU. And, I think you can start the conversation. It's Iowa State and it's Houston. I know Kansas is sneaking around a little bit, but Iowa State has put itself, you're 10 games in to the conference. You have 8 left. And it's time to start talking about conference championship aspirations. It's completely legitimate, but also then that 2-3 seed situation and hosting in Omaha. Like you are setting yourself up. The NCAA tournament selection show is in 5 weeks. It's not that far away. Iowa State has done the hard work. Mm-hmm. Now it's just putting putting a bow on what has been a great season. You've already matched as many wins as you had last year, and you've got 4 weeks to go. Like Iowa State's got a chance to do some really cool things. I saw some stuff on the internet. It's like, is this the best Iowa State team ever? I'm not sure, but here's what I know, C-Dub. When people are listening to this on Monday, the rankings come out at, I think, 11 o'clock or noon. Iowa State will probably be in the top 10. It would be the first time Iowa State is ranked in the top 10 in February since 2001.
Okay, I saw that stat, and that blew my mind. So none of the Hoiberg teams did?
They did get ranked, but it was after the Big 12 tournament in the top 10. So that was
after winning the Big 12 tournament before
correct.
the NCAA tournament.
Then they each got both of those teams.
Where
two of those
rankings
teams,
really don't matter at that
correct.
point.
At that point, it's a seed. So what does that mean? It means Iowa State has done a lot more work than it has up to this point in the last 22 years, and that's great. So you still keep the pedal down. Clearly, you got a tough one on Tuesday. But the Cyclones are putting themselves in contention to do some really, really special things. And they've got the hard work out of the way. Now it's time to just have some – I mean, really, you can win a championship in the Big 12. That's out on the table. But I think this team, you get a 2 or 3 seed in Omaha, I mean, you're going to be sitting pretty good to make a second weekend again.
I try and temper expectations.
I know. I get it.
I mean, this team is Final Four caliber.
Well, you've defeated potentially the number 1 overall seed in Houston and Kansas, who's probably going to be a 2-3 seed as well already.
This is a Final Four caliber team.
I agree.
I think our audience is smart enough to know we're not saying like they will. But this team has all the makings of it. So you look at the metrics now, up to 45 in offense, 3 in defense.
Yep.
So they've cracked the Magic top 50 in both.
And
You're
9
elite
in
one.
9 in Ken Palm now.
9 in Ken Palm.
9 in net.
9 in net. So just across the board like this, if you just put a blind resume and I showed you their metrics, it's a Final Four metrics type team.
There's no question. Yeah,
I would
there's
wonder
probably
how many teams right now are top 50 in both. Well, maybe I'll do that research for Wednesday show.
Yeah, it's probably. I bet there's 10, and Iowa State's one of them. I mean, that's what you're looking at. I mean, and you start thinking. So they're going to reveal, I think, that top 16. Is it this Saturday? So Iowa State's kind of been quiet on the national radar, but you're a firm second in the Big 12, the best conference in America. Iowa State hasn't played this well all year, and you're healthy, you're feeling good. I think Iowa State's this is special times, everybody. Like, this is going to be fun.
I think they were a 3 seed, maybe worst, like bearish case 4 going into
Correct.
TCU. Now I think that they are a 3 seed and maybe bullish case 2.
Yeah, I'd say probably 3 still, strong 3. And
again,
then some might have them at a 2.
Don't look past just like winning that game by 12 or whatever
Huge.
it was.
Yeah.
That's huge to get the double digits. Like, again, there's flaws in the system, everybody, but that's why you see like that big jump. You get the win at Texas and you don't even move. What happened? Well, it's because you only outdid the computer by like 2 points. This one, you blew it away.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to see where the pollsters have Iowa State on Monday, because I could see them still giving Baylor the edge. I don't think Baylor's better than Iowa State, but I could see that happening. That's something to keep an eye on. But Iowa State, we've seen enough. This isn't the bottom's not going to fall out here. This team's really good. This team is really, really good. And obviously the tournament can be a crapshoot, but Iowa State has put itself in a really fun position heading into March, and these games still matter. You want to keep winning. You don't want to let it backslide. But the great news is because of all these wins you're accumulating here, I mean, if you just hold serve at home, and this home schedule is relatively, it's not easy. Nothing's easy in the Big 12. But if you just hold serve at home, you're going to be a 3 seed in the Big Dance. That's great.
I want to thank some of our sponsors before we get to our Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment. And Blum, I got home from Minneapolis at around 2, Super Bowl, and we're doing that. I have not got to watch the women's game yet. I listened to Coach on my way home today. So
I was courtside, buddy boy.
Oh, were you? Okay, so
Yeah.
You're going to have to give me the details on it, because again, I will watch it either tonight or probably one of my first things I do tomorrow will be to watch that game. I feel bad. It's only so much time they were playing during this surprise party and whatnot. But I want to thank our buddy Colin Newell. He is over there at Farm Bureau Financial Services. I saw Colin tweet he was watching the Super Bowl tonight on a cruise. Living the life, man. That you get your insurance there. I got everything switched over. He's saving me like $1,000 a year. He's saving Blum like $600-700 a year. We both use them.
I might need to renegotiate.
Yeah,
that
see
extra
if you can run
300.
your rates again.
I got to get that. What's that device that you put in your car to judge
I
your
got
good
one of
driving?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
not
need to do
bad.
that. I need to do that.
I want to also thank our friends at the Ivy College of Business at Iowa State. Just phenomenal people. Shout out to our guy, Dean Spalding. He's a huge Iowa State fan. Blum is doing work with them with the collective where they are using students to do market analysis for the collective to, of course, try and raise money and do all that stuff. So it's one of those cool ways that NIL and, these academic institutions are working together. So we thank our friends at the Ivy College of Business. Go and just check out their website. Best way for me to tell you is just Google Ivy College of Business at Iowa State. You can see all their great information on the MBA programs and all the good stuff that they've got going on there. All right, the Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment, and then we'll get into the women as promised. Plant your independence, plant Wiffles. Planting just around the corner, believe it or not. It'll be here. The Baylor-Kansas game, Bloom, I thought going into it, I'm like, oh, give me Baylor and the points. It's 7.5 just because they're too good to lay that against. And then it was like, oh, Kansas is going to kill them. And then, boom, an Uber ride to this bar we were meeting at. And it's like, oh, shit, Baylor's might win this thing. I may have been wrong on Baylor. I don't know if they're a national title Final Four caliber team, but they're certainly better than I thought that they were 2 weeks ago. I'm going to give a little tip of the cap to Scott Drew. They're playing well. Again, I don't think they're a threat to win this league, but they're better than I thought.
Well, the big guy's been good. The freshman, Misi, he's really come on. He's turned himself into an NBA guy. So the thing that if you didn't watch this game is notable is McCullough didn't play for Kansas.
Oh, he didn't. I didn't see. I wasn't watching it with sound or.
Yeah,
okay.
So that McCullough didn't play, and then DeJuan Harris got injured in the second half with a hammy. So they were down. Bad. Like and Self was upset after the game because they did not play well in the final 10 minutes. They let Baylor hang around and then almost won the game. I watched Baylor. Baylor was not great either. It's just Kansas just like almost blew that thing, but they held on.
That Allen Fieldhouse thing is crazy. Like just the amount of they just don't lose.
Well, and Baylor had a shot to tie it, and anyway, I don't know.
Do you agree with me though? Because we were both iffy on Baylor. They're better than we thought, right?
I don't know.
You still don't know?
I still struggle with it. Now, I like Walter. I like their guards. They just when they play a team. I'm just not sold on if they play Iowa State at home. I think that one could get ugly. They're okay. I do not think they're at the high end that Baylor has been in the past. That said, I don't know if college basketball there's a game they can't win either. I mean, they're good enough to beat most people, especially if they shoot it well with Dennis and Walter and their guards and Nunn. But I don't know. I'm not sold on them. I'm not sold on Kansas either, though. I mean, Kansas's bench is rough. It's rough. I think that's why I keep coming back. I think it's Houston and Iowa State. And I know those two are going to hang around, Baylor and Kansas, but I believe it's a race between those two, and that's Houston and Iowa State. I'd be curious who does Houston have this week because they struggle with Cincinnati, which is notable clearly because Iowa State goes there on Tuesday, and Cincinnati's playing good basketball right now. They just cannot get over the hump. That's a game where. CW, you look at that game on Tuesday, I bet that's a pick 'em. If I'm doing the point spread for the game on Tuesday, that's not an easy road trip for Iowa State. So don't count on that one at all. I think Cincinnati's pretty good. But, I look at who are the two best programs right now to win the conference. I do think it's a two-team race. Now, Kansas will be there with the national narrative. I just don't think their bench is good enough to do it.
I don't disagree. We'll get to the schedules coming up. I want to do a couple of these other games. Kansas State drops one at BYU. They were actually like a 12-point underdog and kept this thing close. BYU just, keeps hanging around 500. They take care of it there. Our friends down in Lubbock took care of business against Central Florida. That's it as far as interesting stuff goes in this league. I'm with you on Houston, though. They were workmanlike. At Cincinnati, like you put it,
wasn't pretty.
But that's kind of how you have to beat Cincinnati, right?
Yes,
absolutely. And that's another reason why I kind of like Iowa State in these types of games because it's like they can win multiple different ways. Cincinnati is, God, I don't know. I don't think that they're quite at the Big 12 level yet, but still, it's like, do you agree with me? Like, if Iowa State wins this game
on
Tuesday night,
yeah,
where it's all of a sudden like, shit, you may as well try and get a 1 seed at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm jumping up a level there, but that would be 3 really good quad 1 road wins in the best league in college basketball.
Yeah.
As you point out, you take care of business at home. I doubt you steal 1 at Houston. Maybe if you can win at UCF or at Kansas State, you're probably on the 2 line then.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you look at Ken Pom, our good buddy Ken, and it's not perfect, but Iowa State is favored in 7 of the final 8 games on paper. And a lot of them are like 1 or 2 point spreads, so it's not like it's favored. It's like a big deal at that point. But yeah, this thing is the entire thing is on the table for Iowa State. Now, Houston is still your odds-on favorite. Okay, don't get me wrong, because they've done it. They're technically a half game ahead. Iowa State has to go down there. But you're right. I mean, you start looking at who are your top number 1 seeds right now in college basketball, and it's pretty clear consensus, I would say. I mean, you've got Houston is definitely there. You've got Purdue. You've got Connecticut. I think those 3 for sure. But that fourth one, I would say, is up for grabs.
North Carolina,
they've lost this week. They had a bad loss to Clemson.
Okay, if I were to say to you who best teams with the chance to actually like make the Final Four, North Carolina would be on that because of their age, right?
They are, and I would say Arizona is too. Like I think both those teams are. I think Houston, Purdue, Connecticut, Arizona, North Carolina. If I have 5 teams that I think can win it all 5 of those teams can. I would not. Okay, I'm being an honest Iowa State fan here. I'm not putting Iowa State on those 5 teams level yet.
I wouldn't either.
Just from now, I need.
All
Iowa
I'm
State.
saying is the Big 12 thing, though. Like I'm pointing out, if you win this game, so that's 3 road win. Like that's the stuff that matters to the committee.
Well, then you're 8-3 in the league, and you've won a bunch of road games. Absolutely. No, I mean that's the great thing is Iowa State has so many more chances to win big games than North Carolina does because you have more big games you're playing in, which only helps. Is a 1 seed I think would be tough at this point, but it's possible. It's not out of the realm because that 4th one is totally up for grabs. I just think Arizona, they just eviscerated Colorado, a good Colorado team yesterday. I think that Arizona team is probably that West Coast team that'll get the nod because they're out West. Just my opinion.
All right. Looking ahead to this week, again, Iowa State on Tuesday. Yeah, your big Monday games. You got Kansas at Texas Tech, which will be very interesting.
We want
Texas Tech will probably be favored in that with the injuries, right?
Yeah, McCullough, again, I don't know if McCullough's going to play or not. And then Harris was not healthy at all at the end of that game. So we'll see. What's that points? What does Ken Pom have that one right now?
Well, I don't know if it really matters because of the injuries. Right now it has Kansas by a point. So I would guess Texas Tech is a, 3.5, 4-point favorite?
If Fuller doesn't play for sure. Yep. Yeah. Although he played there before, he may try and give it a go. It was like a bone bruise, so it's not like it's an ACL.
We got West Virginia, TCU, Tuesday night's fun with Iowa State, Cincinnati. We've got Oklahoma, Baylor, and then Central Florida at BYU. Wednesday, that's it. So just Monday, Tuesday this week for the Big 12. Houston has its bye week coming up this week, and then we'll have our show on Wednesday to recap all that stuff.
Is Iowa State a 6 o'clocker on Tuesday?
You had to ask. Hold on, and I will tell you that is a 6 o'clock tip on ESPN2.
Okay.
So
that's sneaky. That's sneaky. Somebody asked us that they need a scouting report on Jizzle James when we get a chance.
Jizzle James?
He's Edgerrin. Remember Edgerrin James?
Yeah.
It's his son. It's his son. But he's a guard for Cincinnati. Nice player, freshman. Great name.
All right, let's move into our women's basketball segment here, which is always presented by our friends by Caliber Iowa. Check them out at calibeririowa.com. Our building that we have our Cyclone Fanatic studio in is in a Caliber, Iowa building. The Standard out there on 36th Street when you're driving up on I-35. They do phenomenal work. Luxury apartments. They got properties all over the metro. All right, Blum, give me the skinny. What happened? Because again, I didn't see a single minute of this. I looked at a box score. I listened to Coach after the game. What was your analysis from sitting?
Yeah, I mean, first impression was Oklahoma is really good. Okay, that team played great. That is as impressive a team I've seen play in Hilton on the women's side in a while. Just they took it to Iowa State early. It's almost like Iowa State wasn't quite prepared for that early punch in the mouth, and then I think you can safe to say that the freshmen, this is hard right now. I mean, the freshman wall is a real thing. Iowa State had a chance in the third quarter to cut it. They did cut it to 8. Thought they had a stop. And then of all people, it was Aubrey Jones who buried back-to-back threes. And then Oklahoma was just good. I mean, I give credit to Jenny, Baranchek, and that entire team. They were good. And it was going to be hard for anybody to beat them on Saturday. I thought Iowa State fought just not enough of – they could not find a way to make enough shots to counter the double teams Crooks was getting. And so you've now seen it where Crooks is getting the Shaq treatment, I like to say, where you are getting double team every time you catch the ball. And because you double all the time, and I say this in a respectful way to officials, it's hard to call a foul off every double team, but she's getting very physical. There's a lot of physical stuff around there.
Well,
and so she turned the ball over a bunch because I would say there's just a lot happening in that post that she hasn't adjusted to yet. She'll get better at it, and then just need to make a couple more shots on the perimeter. The biggest problem was Iowa State had 15 first half turnovers, which is way too many. And so they just could not handle that double team in the post, and the guards weren't good enough taking care of the ball.
Thing too is maybe we've missed on our analysis just a little bit. I think that we talk about like a freshman wall, and that's a very real thing, but they're also being scouted really well now.
Absolutely.
Right. And you mentioned Audie, and she's going to be one of the greatest cyclones of all time. I don't
agree.
have any doubt. But if you watch those games from, late this, even like the Iowa game, right? Top 5 team, they hadn't scouted Audie the way you're describing what
she wasn't being doubled. I mean, they sent a double every time she caught the ball, every single time.
I mean, you go back and watch that like BYU game in January, and it's just different now. So now, Iowa State's got a pretty good coach too. Let's see. And maybe they don't have the chess pieces right now. Like, I think it's very possible. It's just like this is what we got, and they're getting better, but we're out of moves, right? Like, that's kind of my feel when I watch it. But I also think they're talented enough where they can get hot and rattle some of these off and make it interesting.
And they got a big one at home on Wednesday night. Kansas State, who may have Aoka Lee back, but they're top 5 in the country, top 2.
Mm-hmm. Huge game.
You
win that one, and Saturday doesn't matter. Like,
exactly. I was talking to somebody after the game, and like, this hurts, but we really needed one of these two. Like, you need to get one of these home games in this 2-game stretch, and so it puts a little bit of pressure on that game against K-State. But I'm telling you, Oklahoma in person was really good. They did a lot of great stuff. I thought the game plan was great by Jenny, and it was just going to be hard to win that when you turn the ball over as much as Iowa State did in the first half, and not enough. Good news. I thought Naidu played as well as she has in about a month, which is good, exciting. I thought Nelly Nadabu gave you something, but way too many open looks and mistakes on the defensive end. And when you're turning the ball over 20-plus times, it's going to be hard to beat a good team like Oklahoma. And I got to look at the women's basketball standings, but Oklahoma's got a chance now to make a run. I know Texas is right there as well, but I thought Oklahoma's now 11-1. Like, they are leading the Big 12 now, and they look the part. They were tough, they were physical, they're undersized, but they made a bunch of shots. And sometimes, again, it's like Mahomes, right? Like, you tip your cap. Somebody makes more plays, and you can't win everything. And I think that's part of it, what happened Saturday night. I will say, pretty cool. So they had all the alumni back.
Yeah, I saw that. Pictures. Yeah.
So we had a little reception that actually we will help sponsor some of the post game stuff in Johnny's, which was neat. It was a nice thing for hopefully us to do to honor those women's basketball players. But so many familiar faces that came back for that. Chris, you would have loved it.
Oh yeah.
Made me feel really old because some of these players that we covered, even 5-6 years ago, under that Bridget Carlton team, came back with kids. And it's like, oh my gosh, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a special program. It really is.
I saw Howie Christofferson was there. I called Howie's high school games.
High school games. I know.
In Exira. It's like,
so Kid Blaskowski, I know your favorite, one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I love Kid. Yeah,
Kid awesome. Showed up in a cowboy hat.
I saw that. She looked
really
great.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. And then so it was neat. So they honored the 98, 99 team. So they had Angie Welly was there, Stacy Freeze, Kelly Sizek Hanfeld. It was Desiree Fran. It was neat. Like that part. Sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, wow, I mean, this is pretty cool that they had probably 100 women's basketball alumni that came back for that game, which is a bummer because you want to win that game. But it also just goes to show, holy cow, there have been so many. The legacy of that program is pretty special. And I know those alumni went to practice, they went to shoot around so that, and the crowd was really good Saturday. It's the bummer is you lost the game, but I still think a lot of bright things ahead, even this year for this team.
Real quick, the We Will event last Wednesday. Do you have like a final number for that? I know you had a couple of auction items that were still up tonight. I was just curious if we could pass that along.
Yeah, no, this is the cool part. So the silent auction is still ongoing for another 3 days. 3 days.
Oh, okay.
But if you include the auction numbers where those are at now, with what we raised so far, we're going to be over $265,000.
Wow.
In 1 week from
awesome.
Fundraising. So blown
that
away.
Doesn't even count any of the pizza you guys sold.
Doesn't even count any of the pizza. No. So it's, awesome. Like I'm overwhelmed in gratitude of what that meant. And thank you for, you're a huge part of it, my friend. So it's like, nobody loves this situation, but to see people come together as much as they did this week, and even the Brock helmet, which we just was a silent auction, ended today, went for over $5,500, which is pretty cool. So hey, man,
that helmet was sick.
It was cool. Yeah,
if I was rich, that's the one thing I would have made sure to walk away with.
Yeah,
because it's the tribute to the troops one. Like so,
yeah,
it's like
it was cool.
Alternate helmet. Oh man, that thing was dope.
But it's cool that these former players, a lot of them didn't get NIL, still sent stuff in because they want to help the cause and. We can do this really in a fun way. But so, yeah, thanks. It was a great week on that front. But keep plugging away. And there still are some really neat items that are available for a couple more days, including cocktails with Heft Walters, you and me.
Now that's a winner.
It's up to, I'll just be honest. If you're listening to this, it's at $3,000 right now. You get up to 6 friends with me, Williams, Walters, and Heft. Night on the town. Anything you want to drink and eat, it's on us. It's at $3,000 right now. Maybe not the Pappy Williams though. Let's not get carried away.
Where else was I going to go on that? I was going to go somewhere from Wednesday night, and I'm coming to a brain fart. Right
How good
now.
was Matt? How good was Campbell though? He was.
Oh, Campbell's great in those
awesome.
settings. Like I always
the best.
I just wish it's a fair rap that he gets.
Yeah, 100%.
The media. Because he doesn't say
he's
anything.
a robot. He's a robot in the media setting.
But then you get him in these settings, and he's just like, and I'm like, I try and tell my media friends, I'm like, no, he's awesome. Like,
he's great.
Like I promise, you would love to have a beer with him. Like he's a really good dude. And they're like, oh, he doesn't ever. Like no, those things are so cool. I don't even think you have to. I don't think I should say, even need to preface it anymore with like, oh, we don't necessarily like where everything's at. Like, because I don't know. There's nobody who hates the setup more than me, and I've been very vocal about it for 10 years now, way before this. But you guys have kind of changed my mind on a lot of it. You really have. I'm not just saying it. It's just I see it. I talk to the players. One of my guys is Rimsberg. I just love him. He's one of my favorites.
Great
I
dude.
talked to him there, and like I know how much that these opportunities to meet youth and have meant to people. We've taken a lot of these athletes on Cyclone Fanatic events, and it just I hope that when people go to these things and shake hands with Rocco Becht and you have a have a beer with Nate Shieldhouse, or I don't think Nate was actually drinking, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I hope that fans feel like they're more of a part of it, and that it's like, oh, you know, I know these people. Like, we're all rooting and watching Brock Purdy because he's an Iowa State guy.
He's one of
right?
our guys.
Well, maybe now you're going to be a little more of a fanatical Rocco Beck fan, and because he signed your
goal.
kid's hat.
Right.
You know, like I just
Right.
it builds community, which is what I think's kind of special.
Yeah, well, that's so just kind of taking the baton of where Fanatic took that thing is, once you can meet these people, like I said about Brock, it's less about the win and the loss, which I'm way more happier when Iowa State wins, but you're rooting for the people at that point. And
Yes.
there really are some really good people involved. And so being able to interact with Cyclone fans, and we had 15 Cyclones there that did a great job. And I would say most people really enjoyed them. They don't ask for much, but they just enjoy being around Iowa State fans. The same with the coaching staff. So, but then Chris, on a higher level, look at it this way, not to puff Iowa State's chest out a little bit. We have a top 10 basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
We have a football team that is going to be in contention to win a Big 12 championship. We have a women's basketball team that is traditionally one of the best in the country. And it's like, why not Iowa State? Like, okay, you can second guess all this NIL stuff. Say, hey, at the forefront, hey, woe is me, we don't have enough, whatever. We're doing it right now. Look at us. Like, we're doing it. And so let's rally behind that. It's like, you can what we lack in maybe the big time donors we have in feeling a part of the thing and numbers and all these things. It's like Iowa State is literally one of the best programs going in the Big 12 right now, and the door is open. Oklahoma and Texas are leaving. Why not Iowa State? And so what I keep coming back from, like I said on Wednesday, is like, I don't want NIL to be the reason Iowa State doesn't succeed. Let's give these coaches all the resources they have, because I'm betting on C-Dub, Campbell, Otzelberger, Fenley, and Pollard. If they just have a median of resources, we're going to be great. And so that's where we're kind of the goal is. And like those guys said on Wednesday, and it's not a secret, the goal next year is a Big 12 championship, flat out, football championship.
I was thinking about it.
You're going to be right there for basketball this year too. So it's like, come on now. Like this, we have literally the boogeyman has gone away. Like, we can do it in this era. So let's do it. Let's step up to the challenge.
I was thinking about the other night the phrase evolve or die.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you want to do? You want to sit here and complain about
it? Yep.
No, just go out there and do something.
Yep.
Andrew's on the chat and Facebook real quick, wanting to know if we have an update on our Kansas City event. No, but we are making progress. To be honest, we kind of wanted to get last week over with before we started focusing on Kansas City. So kind of we'll keep you updated on that. There is a decent chance, I'm thinking, Brent, that this will be a premium members event and We Will Club, mainly because I don't think we're going to have room.
Numbers. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to have room to open it up to like thousands. So this will likely be a deal like it was in Memphis, where we invited our premium subscribers and they could buy tickets. And because again, like, it's just we gotta take care of those people. And frankly, there's so many Iowa State fans that are willing to do these things. We would love to be able to accommodate thousands, but we only have like a couple staff members. So
so I would say, if you want to go to the Kansas City event, become a Cyclone Fanatic premium member or join the We Will Club, because honestly, it's a timing, a staffing, and just a numbers game. I know we'd get thousands of people to show up.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is you get thousands of people to show up, and we just don't have the ability to.
And then you guys are mad at us because drinks aren't fast enough, and it could be.
Yeah, we got yelled at by some people in Memphis that they couldn't find a seat.
Yeah,
it's like, well,
we're doing our best.
We're trying to do best we can. But so I would encourage you, if you want to be involved with the Kansas City event. And I hate it being an exclusive thing, but honestly, $10 a month will get you an invite probably to the Kansas City event at this point.
And everything else, it's like
included, right? Because here's the issue. The issue is when you have it, and then you got to work with a bar that is flexibility enough to when you can be flexible.
Yes.
With when you have it, because obviously it's probably going to play on Thursday, but we don't know yet.
I would like to do this Wednesday night. I'm thinking if possible.
If possible.
We need the bar to be able to hold off on pulling the trigger. And yeah, I think we're there. I think
we're there. We're gonna have something.
I think we've got it figured out, but we will keep you guys updated on that.
Yeah.
All right, Bloomer. We'll be back on Wednesday. I'll have all my stuff on Tuesday. Thanks to Connor and Rob for filling in for me this weekend as I was out of town. Which, man, it's just so weird to watch games at Hilton and not be there. I do not miss many Big 12 games. I mean, I'm 3 or 4 non-pandemic. That
Yeah.
0-19.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So here's a little fun fact for everybody. Do you remember the last time Iowa State played at Cincinnati?
Vaguely. Yeah, it was the Hoiberg era, right?
Era?
Prom. It was Prom.
It was Prom. It was December.
Prom played there.
December of 15. Who hit the game winner?
I don't remember.
Not a game. It wasn't buzzer beater. It was late. Abdul Nader.
Oh.
Abdul Nader, the corner 3, I believe.
Well,
So,
Prom lost to Cincinnati.
he did the next year.
Okay. So he won the year before.
He won.
Okay.
He won in Cincinnati. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, there's a little
Good pull right there.
Little fun fact. Abdul Nader reference. So, but yeah. Hey, this is a chance again. On the men's side, you're gonna top 10. I think Iowa State's gonna be right at 10 or 11 when you listen to this. 10 or 11. That's my prediction. So let's go.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, if you guys haven't seen the Tyrese Halliburton highlight from Saturday night, you have to go look it up from Madison Square Garden. Did you see it?
No.
Oh my God.
What did he do?
He paid homage to Kobe 10 years ago to the day where Kobe threw it off the backboard and got an assist. Tyrese did the same thing at the exact same spot in Madison Square Garden.
I'm watching it right now.
You got to see it.
That is crazy.
Watch Blum's reaction here, everybody. He's watching it for the first time. Is that not?
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
he's
was
a
paying
savant.
homage to Kobe Bryant.
He absolutely knew what he was doing.
Yeah, well, what are the chances that on the same he would make that play?
Nope.
That's not a normal play.
The guy, he's like
Brent,
Einstein.
He is one of the most exciting players in the world now. I'm saying exciting. Top 5 for sure, maybe 3.
Just the jump.
You got Luka.
Man,
I'm not saying best. Like Kevin Durant would still be I get all that, but like as far as like box office, who do you want to see?
I mean, Embiid's still really good, but is he exciting?
He's bigs have like a weird thing around them.
Yeah, Tatum's really good. Steph Curry's still worth the price.
Tatum's really good, but he's not really flashy.
No,
Steph is.
Steph still is. He's still got
Steph
it.
could still do it.
No, with Tyrese, I mean, he's like a weird mix of Steve Nash and
he's just a great dude. Like he smiles all the time. People like him. And shout out to him in that Brock Purdy tribute. He was wearing the Cyclone Fanatic hoodie.
Yeah. Drinking a glass of wine. Looked like a glass of wine he was drinking at the time.
Tyrese, it was always a thing with him. He loves the Cyclones versus the World gear.
He wears it all the time.
And we couldn't give it to him. He would always ask for it. I'm like, Tyrese, you have to buy it. Otherwise, yeah. So Tyrese owns like 10 of those things. And he has all the different colors. And I told Martz, I'm like, hey, just get him whatever color he wants. Like, you can special order these things for Tyrese if he wants to wear them around.
Hey, I know you're writing your book. If there's ever a book written on this version of the men's basketball team, I'll just put it this way. Tyrese Halliburton and George Niang deserve a big chapter in it for a reason we can explain later.
Oh.
The portal last year got real dicey, but a couple of Cyclones really stepped up. And I'll just leave it at that. But those guys are legends.
From what I hear, post players are expensive, so I hope they're ready to step up.
Yeah,
again.
well, so I'm saying those two are legends more than you even realize for this reason as well. It just goes to the story for those two.
But that also is a credit to Otzelberger and his staff.
No
kept
question.
them engaged.
And Micah, and yes.
Like them.
That's why that it goes back to my thing with Brock. When Tyrese and George do well, it's fun because I enjoyed watching them play, but you get to know them as like individuals, human beings. It's like, I want those people to do well. Same with Brock. And so, yeah, when the story of this basketball team gets written, one of the first chapters actually involves Halliburton and Niang and what they did in the offseason.
Appreciate you, man.
Cheers. We'll
Thanks
see everybody
to
on
all
Wednesday.
of you who stayed up late, man. Hundreds of you stayed and watched this whole thing live. We appreciate that. We appreciate our presenting sponsor, MacDine, signing off from the Wild Rose Casino Studios. My name's Chris Williams for Brent Blum, and we'll be back on Wednesday.